Russia's presence in Syria may unleash greater turmoil in the Middle East. Our Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell spoke with CBN News' George Thomas and Gary Lane about what all this means for the Jewish state.
Let me begin with you, Gary.
Yes.
Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia, claims that he is doing this in order to go after terrorists, and has also said he wants to stabilize and protect Assad. What is the United States saying?
Well, of course, what Putin is saying, he's trying to make us believe that what he really wants is he wants us to believe that he's going after ISIS. But there's some indication, George, that he actually hit non-ISIS groups, rebel groups that are fighting Assad. What he really wants is to keep Assad in power, or at least the family in power.
Yeah.
There.
As Gary mentioned, in fact, the Associated Press is actually reporting that a moderate Western-backed Syrian rebel group says one of its leading officers has been killed in the Russian airstrikes happening in Homs. As you know, Chris, ISIS is not in Homs. Why is Russia going after Homs? Why is it going after rebels that the CIA has been training and funding?
Well, I think, George, they're actually going to preserve the Assad regime. And I think there's two enemies they have. Certainly the forces that are against Assad. They want to preserve his regime. They want to preserve their holdings already in Syria. They have that port in Tartus and that Latakia in that region. They want to expand their influence. They do want to go after ISIS, but the war against ISIS is just a pretext in order to help them fight and protect Assad's regime. Okay,
this is all about Bashar al-Assad.
Yes.
You know this very well. Russia has had a long-term relationship with Assad.
Why? With Assad's father, long before him.
Exactly. Hafiz Assad, al-Assad. Why do the Russians want to protect Assad?
Well, because Assad's a friend of theirs, and also he's close to the Shiites. So it's not just helping Assad, it's coming against the Sunnis who have been fighting against Russia, but also its power and influence, George. Russia wants to have influence in the Middle East.
Chris, this is the first time, to you, Chris, this is the first time that Russia has launched a military strike in the heart of the Middle East since the 1980s. Let me paint this picture for you. Iraq's prime minister has just come out saying that cooperation with Russia, Syria, and Iran is only for intelligence purposes. There is no military coordination between Russia, Syria, Iraq, and Syria. The fact that you have the Iranians in there, along with the Iraqis, coordinating with Russia, is this good?
Oh, I think it's very bad for the whole region, George. You know, just a few days ago, I think there was a relationship and alliance between Iran, Hezbollah, Russia, and Syria. And they said at the time, this is one of the biggest alliances in years, if not decades. The Middle East is shifting under our feet as we speak. And I have to say that I think you'd agree that this is because of a vacuum left by the United States of America. They had the opportunity to go in there years ago and do what they could against either the Assad regime when the Syrian civil war started, or against ISIS in the last year or so. But they've been timid, and they haven't had used the power that they could have. And the allies in the region, Israel, Saudi Arabia, Jordanians, and the Egyptians, they all are terrified, I think, at what's happening right now by the lack of the U.S. leadership.
Chris Mitchell in Jerusalem, sir, thank you so much for your insights. Glad that you are back safe. And Gary Lane, thank you.